Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Katamayam Darati Shapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. You can see the pictures of deities. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. You get Prabhupada's picture of the deities. That's the deities from Hungary, I think. So, I'm not sure if we scheduled a topic. Did we schedule a topic? Because I was thinking of speaking about Kartik, but I don't know if we scheduled a topic. So, can someone let me know? We were, I don't even know. I think we had ended our discussion on prayer, then I think I had done a little more and finished that, and then we were reading the Bhagavatam. Anyway, if no one remembers, and I'm assuming I don't remember because we hadn't really started a series. So, Yamini she thought it would be good if we spoke a little bit about Kartik. And because Kartik's coming up, I think on October 16th, more or less, depending where you live. So, what do you think? Is that a good idea? Should we do that? I have your permission. I have my chat open, so you can let me know. So, it is said of all books, the Vedas are the most auspicious of all rivers, the Ganges. Of all holy places, Krishna said Dwarka. Of course, we know Vrindavan, but as a pilgrimage. And Krishna said of all months, the month of Damodar is most auspicious. And the month of Damodar is Kartik is also known as Kartik. And it's called the month of Damodar, as you could guess, because that's the month that the pastime of Krishna being bound by Mother Yasoda so took place. So Damodar means one who is bound up by a rope. And it's also called Urjva Vrata. We say Kartik Vrata. During Kartik, we take vows, because anything you do during Kartik it's very auspicious. Whoops, I forgot to turn on the recorder. So, maybe I will say that again. Of course, I can't remember what I just said to say again. It's part of the process of getting older, or maybe it's part of the process of being ecstatic. Maybe it's a combination of both. So we're going to talk about the month of Kartik, also known as the month of Damodar, the month that Mother Jashoda bound Krishna by ropes around the waist, which is what Krishna, as you may know, Krishna has many names, and many of these names, if not all of these names, are describing, well, some will describe his qualities and some will describe his leelas. So Damodar, Krishna has this name because he was bound by Mother Jashoda. And so this is known as the month of Damodar, also the month of This time of year is also known as Kartik. And we are told by the Shastras that this is the best of all months. Krishna says it himself. Of all months, this is the best of all months. This is my favorite month. And we learn that anything we do at this time during this month has tremendous benefit and tremendously more effect than if we do it any other time. So generally what devotees do, they make some vow. So we say Kartik Vrata. Also it's known as Urjva Vrata. Urjva means power. And the one who has all the power is Radharani, so this is also her month. Urjeshwari, the one who controls. And she has all the power, she controls the one who has all the power. And the vrata is also done for her in order that we get her blessings or her mercy. Because ultimately, that's what every devotee wants. If you get her mercy, then everything is good. And you will become dear to Krishna by becoming dear to her. So, one of the things that you know that we do every year at Kartik time is we offer a candle. Wow. We've got South Africa with us. Nice you're here. So you know during Kartik we offer candles, and that seems, or ghee lamp, and it seems like a very simple thing to do. It doesn't cost much and it doesn't take much effort, but Krishna is so pleased when we offer a candle or a lamp during the month of Kartik that there's tremendous benefit from doing that. So if you don't live near a temple or you don't go to a temple every day during Kartik, you should make sure that you offer a candle every day, at least every evening. In some temples we offer morning and evening, some temples only evening. At least once a day we should offer a candle. And there are shlokas that describe how much Krishna is pleased by the offering of a candle. It's amazing how much he likes it. I was reading shlokas this morning. A lot of times in these literatures, they talk about the benefits of doing these vratas, and they compare it to karma conduct activities, and how offering a candle is like doing hundreds or thousands or millions of Ashwamedha yajnas. But for us, as devotees, we know that anything done in devotional services, you really can't compare it to anything material. But sometimes those comparisons are given just to help us understand the power of those, just offering a simple candle, it's so pleasing to Krishna, it has so much benefit. So that's one thing we should all do during Kartik. As you know, in our temples, in our morning programs, we are chanting, we are hearing, we're worshipping the deity. So in literature that describes what householders should be doing during Kartik, it basically describes that during that month your devotional activities should increase. So for householder, increasing their devotional activities would be along the lines of doing what is done in the temple program. So if you're living in or near a temple, you're already, in a sense, doing everything you should be doing for Kartik. But if you're not, this is the month where you should focus on hearing, should focus on improving your japa. You should focus on some deity worship like that, because those activities are especially powerful during this month. And then if you're living in a temple and you're already doing it, then you just do it more or do it better. So that that's what the literature about Kartik usually says in terms of vows or austerities. Now, you can also do austerities in terms of eating. You could, let's say, not eat potatoes or sugar. If you choose to do some kind of fasting, you can take something. If you don't like potatoes or sugar, then don't abstain. Abstain from something you like. Of course, potatoes and sugar you can abstain from. It's good for your health. But if you want to do some vrata, then it should be something that you like. And say, okay, this month I'm not going to do this thing that I like, whatever that thing is, or I'm not going to eat that thing that I like. See that thing that I like, hear that thing. Unless, of course, it's something favorable for devotional service, then you wouldn't want to not do it. So often during Kartik, devotees take vows to simplify their eating and sleeping, and in more severe cases, they'll only eat once a day. And if they want to strictly follow the vow, they would only eat rice and dal without spice, with nothing, no salt, no ghee. And if they really want to follow it, then they would eat without their hands. In other words, they would eat only with their mouth. And when they finally have to bend down, when they finally come up, they have to stop eating. So it's kind of a severe austerity. We heard that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did that austerity, and then sometimes you see that he was unshaven. That was during Kartik. That was another austerity. At least for me, it's an austerity. Is it austerity to shave and austerity not to? Because when I don't, I get pimples and scratch, and it's very uncomfortable. And I don't like shaving anyway. So, in any case, if you can do some austerity in terms of controlling your senses, that will help you. And so this month is like a month that Krishna is giving us to help us become more Krishna conscious, to propel us. We need some fuel behind us, some wind behind us. So this gives us some wind. Now, I wanted to make a suggestion because we want to do austerities which will help us. And obviously, if you really like to eat, and you really like to eat something, and you take my suggestion not to eat it, and for the next month, your meditation is not on Damodar, but it's on that food that you've deprived yourself from, obviously that's really not going to help. Right? So, we don't want to do austerity for austerity's sake if the austerity is not going to help us. Sometimes we do austerity, and the result of the austerity is we start thinking that we're better than the other devotees who aren't doing that austerity. So then the result of that austerity is that we become proud. So if the result of the austerity is we become proud, probably better we don't do it, because it's counterproductive. So, you want to be careful about the austerity you do. It has to be something that inspires you, that you're not doing to torture yourself, but it's something you may have thought, I'd really like to do this austerity, so I will do it during Kartik. Maybe you're not chanting 16 rounds, so then you chant 16 rounds. During Kartik, maybe you're chanting 16, you chant 25, maybe you're chanting 25, you chant 32. Maybe you take a vow to read Bhagavatam every day for an hour, you're not doing that. Or read Prabhupada's books every day for a certain specified period of time. Those kinds of austerities may be for many devotees better than the self-denial austerity, where in other words, you add some devotional practices to your life that maybe you feel that would be nice to do, but in the past you haven't done it enough or even done it at all, and you want to do it now. Does that make sense? Rather than just do an austerity for the sake of us, for austerity's sake. Austerity is good, of course, but you don't want to do austerity that you're not able to maintain peacefully, or that would in some way infringe upon other aspects of Krishna consciousness, that you're so hungry and dizzy you can't read or chant. That would be foolish. I'll tell you a funny story. I mean, some people are attached to austerity and they would even do such things. They would they feel the austerity is so good that they're willing to suffer to do it. So I was with a devotee who used to be a sannyasi in the Swami Narayan group, and he said, I think it may have been during Kartik or often during Ekadasis, but they did a fast for 12 days. And all they drank was water, but they gradually reduced their intake of water, I believe, to maybe like a cup or half a cup a day. And I said, well, you're not eating anything and you're hardly drinking. Didn't you get sick? And he said some of the people fasting did get sick. And actually they got so sick they had to get intravenous nutrients. They had become dehydrated and they lost minerals. So I was thinking, well, and for a devotee who wants to do devotional service, that doesn't make sense. The austerity is good, but if the result of the austerity is you can't do service, then that's not good. And Prabhupada said that when he was asked about fasting and staying up all night on Ekadasi, things like that. He said, yeah, that's good. Austerity is always good, but not that it infringes upon your devotional service. He said, yeah, if you want to stay up all night, you could do that, but it doesn't mean, if you don't need to sleep the next day, then you can stay up all night. But otherwise, it's not really an austerity. It's like I won't eat today and tomorrow I will eat twice as much. That's not the point. You understand? Yeah. So, one austerity that I think is very important, that's often neglected, and maybe one of the biggest austerities that we have to perform, is when we chant our rounds, we should listen to them. And for many devotees, they find it extremely difficult to focus their mind. It's much easier just to chant and let the mind go wherever it goes. And they find it not only austere, but that it requires a tremendous output of energy to keep that focus, to not think about everything else that they have to do. Right? I'm sure you've all experienced that. We've all experienced this, yes? So, but the value of focusing on the holy name when we chant, the value of becoming absorbed, is so immense and so worthwhile for nourishing our Krishna consciousness, that to not be absorbed is really like what I would call a supreme degree of unkindness to ourselves. That's how I would put it. We're being supremely unkind to ourselves by not being absorbed in our chanting, because that chanting nourishes us on such a deep level. And it's so important. And that's a habit which, if we can try to cultivate during Kartik, hopefully that habit will continue, so that focusing on the holy name becomes more natural and becomes easier. As I've said before, we all kind of have a default level or quality of japa. And if we upgrade our japa, then hopefully that upgrade can become the default. So that in that sense, good japa becomes natural. It's just the way you chant. It's not like when you're not chanting well, it tends to be a bit of a effort to really focus. And for 2 hours focusing, if you're used to not focusing, takes a lot of energy. But if you improve your japa and you develop the habit of being more absorbed, then it won't take so much energy. It'll just be the way you chant. And if that happens, you will notice a huge change in your Krishna consciousness, because the holy name is more powerful than most of us believe, or should I say, The holy name's more powerful than most of us experience because we're not always accessing the depth of the power of the holy name because we're always not chanting so well. And all chanting is not created equal. So when you chant better, you access more powerful, or more, it's like the sun at sunrise or the sun at noon. The same sun, but the power is different. The intensity, the heat. And so at sunrise, no one gets sunburned. And if the weather's a little cold, no one is really warm at sunrise. But by noon, it can warm up quite a bit. So that's very important. And that's something that will tremendously change or advance our Krishna consciousness. So Kartik could be a great impetus for that. And I would encourage you to make that one of your vratas, that during Kartik, my rounds are going to be good. I'm not going to allow myself to become distracted, and I'm not going to allow myself to chant in environments which are distracting. That's part of not being distracted. And I'm going to give japa the priority it deserves. And I'm going to do this every day during Kartik. So I think that kind of vow, the vow to read Prabhupada's books every day, I think those vows are of tremendous benefit, even if you don't make any other vows. Those two vows will dramatically change your Krishna consciousness. And then, of course, as I said, the vow to offer a candle, which is very simple. We should do that every day. And the song to Damodar, Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam. This is a song found in the Padma Purana, written by Satyavrata Muni. We chant this song every day during Damodar, and we meditate on Damodar, and ideally meditate the whole month on Damodar, but every day we should chant this song. So that those simple vows we should do, and then any other vows you would like to add to that. Some of devotees go to Vrindavan, that's their vow, to Parikrama and Vrindavan, like that. So, I'm going to read a few things, or discuss a few things about the month of Damodar. What we understand from the Leela of Damodar is that Krishna, he can't be bound by anything material. You can't capture him. You can't control him. You can't make him do what you want him to do. You can't order him. Although people try, but you can try to order God, but you really can't. You can't order him. You can't capture him. Yogis try to capture him within their minds. But other people try to capture him or merge into him by austerity, by knowledge. Other people try to kill him, as the demons have. But in some way, if Krishna doesn't agree, he cannot be controlled by anyone. And in this pastime, we learn that Mother Yasoda, when she first attempted to bind Krishna, she was not successful. And so that shows us that unless Krishna allows you to bind him, nobody can bind him. And the proof of that is the ropes that she had were long enough to bind him, but he wouldn't allow himself to be bound, so they always ended up being short. And it was bewildering to Mother Yasoda because it didn't make sense. And she would get more ropes and still it was short. Quite frustrating. You could imagine how frustrated you would be, don't you think? If you add ropes and it's still 2 fingers too short, and every time you add a rope it's still too short. And so she had gotten so many ropes. In theory, she could have tied them up from head to toe. She had so many ropes. But somehow or other, it was too short. And at a certain point, Krishna decided, okay, I will agree to be bound by Mother Yasoda. And so As Satyvrata Muni said in his song, and as we understand, Bhaktyamava Vijayanti, Krishna says, I can be known by devotion. Sadhavaridayam Maham, the sadhus are in my heart, I'm controlled by so many verses, I'm controlled by bhakti. So at that point Krishna said, okay, I will now agree to be bound. But he wasn't really bound by ropes. He was bound by the love of Mother Yasoda. And she could bind him, but ordinary person could not bind him. So you control Krishna by your love. Even between a couple, the wife controls her husband by her submission and love. And then he'll do anything for her. So that psychology is there in Krishna. As I always say, the psychology we have, it's there in Krishna. So Krishna, just as we are bound by love, Krishna is also bound by love. So this is one of the main teachings of this pastime, and one of the things we meditate on this month is how Krishna not only is controlled by love, but how much he wants love, how much like how nothing else can really motivate him. Like you might be motivated if your husband gives you a diamond ring or your wife buys you a new car. That could really inspire you. But it doesn't inspire Krishna because he doesn't need a diamond ring or a new car. And so they say, what do you give that man? What do you give the person who doesn't need anything? Well, if the person who doesn't need anything is God, the answer is you give love. But I think it's true everywhere. What do you give the person who has everything? You give him love. You give her love. So this pastime shows that Krishna's not really, there's nothing that's really going to impress him. And that when there's love, then he gives himself. And so then Mother Yasoda, she tied him up. And we say she tied him with the ropes of affection, right? Isn't it? Isn't that the understanding? Okay. Yes, you agree? You're still there? You're listening? You're awake? You're not doing anything else? You can hear me? Okay. So, this is a month of Damodar, but it's also Radharani's month, as we were saying. Ojme means power or Krishna's Shakti. So, Ojeshwari is the name of Radharani. And we do this, as I was saying, Ojva Vrata. So, we're also taking these vows to please Radharani, or primarily these vows. Primarily to please Radharani. Yeah, ghee lamp. You don't have to offer candle, whatever convenient. In India, ghee lamp. Yeah. Other places, if you don't have ghee lamps, you can offer candles. Candles means there's a lot of wax around. Whatever convenient. Yes. So, we were talking about Mother Yasoda, so we'll read a verse from Satyavrata Muni about this. Rudantambo honeta jugama. Rudantamaneta yugantam. Rudantan mohaneta yugantam. Something. Brain dead right now. Rudanchan means that Krishna's crying and he's looking towards his mother, who's held up a stick, and Krishna's pleading, don't beat me. Don't beat me, because Mother Yasoda held the stick. He thought she was going to throw it at him, and he was afraid. So she caught Krishna, because he was afraid, she caught him But she caught him with her love. And why was Krishna afraid? Why was Krishna afraid? Because Mother Yasoda was coming with a stick, and you say, well, but he's God, so why was he afraid? He's God. Well, he was afraid. You can look at it in different ways, that he was playing for her pleasure, and it increased her affection, and that's true. Or you could say, he was afraid. He was fully absorbed in the Leela, and he was actually afraid. And that's also true. Anyway, from Mother Yashoda's perspective, Krishna was afraid. From our perspective, according to the Leela, if we forget his godhood, then we see that he is afraid, and when Mother Yasoda sees him afraid like that, it brings out more and more affection. And she catches him, and she binds him with ropes. Yes? So she caught him with her love, bound him with her love. And so this month also glorifies this Vatsalya rasa, and it also, the rasa of parenthood, and it also glorifies Mother Yasoda's love, because her love is so great. And when we meditate on the love of Krishna's mother, we get inspired. And we see, the thing is, we've been giving these classes on love, and one of the things you realize when you discuss what love of Krishna is, that we really don't know what it is. We know something about love for our spiritual master, because by Krishna's grace, we get inspired to serve our spiritual master without asking anything, and it gives us great pleasure. But actual prema, which is love for Krishna without anything material in the way, we don't really understand it. And certainly we need impetus to develop that love, isn't it? And so Yashoda's love is so intense. It's so pure that we get inspired by it. And you might say, well, maybe I'm not in the parental ras, but it doesn't matter. We're inspired by her, how much love and how much Krishna is controlled by her. And we are, our whole goal, I mean, all we're really trying to do is love Krishna. That's it. That's all we're trying to do. And anything that helps bring out that love, we should be attracted to it. And so Yasoda inspires our love, so we should be attracted to it. Right? And that's another benefit of the month of Damodar, that we can get inspired by the intensity and depth of Mother Yasoda's love, and just meditate on what love is, what it means. Because we really don't understand it, and we understand it through Krishna's devotees. Just like, you know the story when Uddhava went to Vrindavan as a messenger, and then he met Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. He met the gopis, and they were feeling so much separation. He never saw love that intense, such intense love, and it deeply affected him. So we want to be deeply affected and infected by the intensity and the depth of love of Mother Yashoda, right? And so this month is an opportunity. Now, some devotees are more inclined to other rasas, as I was saying, and some devotees have no idea at all at this point what rasa they should be or would be inclined to. But that doesn't matter. Mother Yasoda's love for Krishna should inspire you in a deep way to better understand what love is, and to be, I mean, love is a result of freedom from anartha, of freedom from anything that could get in the way of love. And so when love is pure, there's only love. There's nothing else. When love is not pure, there's something else. There's some ego. There's some anartha. There's some separate interest. Right? Isn't it? Isn't that what it means? To have pure love, there's nothing in the way. Just like you can have a relationship with someone, and sometimes you feel like something's wrong, something's getting in the way. I don't know what it is, but I feel like something's getting in the way. Right? And maybe you find out, actually, my boyfriend has another girlfriend, and I could see by being with him that his attention is not fully devoted, and his heart is not fully devoted to me. So that would be a big anartha, right? Someone else is involved with him in the relationship. So if you want a pure loving relationship, there can't be anything in the way. There can't be any reluctance. Any lack of trust, you might say. I don't trust you. Something's wrong. Yes, I don't trust you. Why? Because for this reason or that reason. So that's in the way, right? So we see in our lives, there's so many things in the way between ourselves and Krishna, isn't it? False ego, pride, lack of faith, desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. There's so many things. You could imagine you were sitting with Krishna, and Krishna's saying, okay, I'm here, I love you, but I get a feeling you're not there yet with me. There's something in the way. And Krishna says, what is it? What's in the way? And then you start thinking, well, I don't know if I can just love you unless I get enough of this or enough of that materially. Or I don't know if I can completely trust you. Or whatever it is. You start to realize, you would realize if you had this conversation with Krishna, and Krishna's asking you, why is your love not pure? What's going on? What's getting in the way? And you would realize there's a lot getting in the way, right? So, Mother Yashoda or any of the Brajbasis, they're inspirations to us because nothing is in the way. There's just love, and that's all there is, and there isn't anything else, right? Did you see anything else in Mother Yashoda? No. There's only love for Krishna. There's nothing else. It's just, that's it. And that's, of course, the pure state that we want to get to. And when you want to get to something, it's really nice to have someone that inspires you to, who already has it, who inspires you to get there, because when you see what they have, and what they have is attractive, then it becomes attractive to you, right? Does that make sense? Sometimes we want things because we see other people have them, or we see that those things are making them happy, right? That's why we want them. So, when you want the love that a devotee who loves Krishna has, that's really good. It means you're advancing. I want the kind of love that you have. I'm attracted to that love. I'm not attracted to all the lust that I'm experiencing and the anarthas that I'm experiencing. I'm attracted to the love that you have for Krishna. I want that kind of love. Now, in advanced stages, it gets very specific. You may want the same kind of love that Yasoda has, or the gopis have, or the manjaris have, or the sakas have, but then it gets more specific. You become attracted to the kind of love that one particular resident of Vrindavan has. But we're not talking about that now, because that, for most of us, that is a stage away, or a few stages away. But now we're just talking about the attractiveness of love, how attractive those who are pure devotees are, and how that attractiveness of love can infect us with a desire to be like them, follow in their footsteps, imbibe the moods that they have. Because otherwise, Maya's, we don't realize that the pulling and pushings of Maya are pullings and pushings that are interfering with love, that they are destructive to our relationship with Krishna. And so when you value that relationship and you value love, then you would never give in to the forces of Maya, because it's just like a chaste wife will not have another man in her life, because it would ruin the relationship with her husband. In the same way, chastity for devotees, I don't have any other desire in my heart. Of course, you can't artificially come to that level, but my point is that as you become attracted to love, to what it is, by being inspired by the Brajbasis in their love, and you begin to understand the exalted nature of that love, the value of that love, the sweetness and taste of that love, you start to hanker for it and you want it. And the more you want it, the less you want other things. Does that make sense? It's an important principle of bhakti, that it's just like sometimes when we serve our spiritual master, when we serve Prabhupada, I feel so fortunate. I said, I feel so fortunate to be able to serve my Guru. I feel this is special, and I could do this for lifetimes. I feel honored. I feel a special sweetness. So that's the sweetness that you experience of love, that there's nothing higher than that. There's nothing higher we could ever experience, or nothing higher we could ever achieve. And so when you're serving purely, you appreciate the value of that service, because you're appreciating the value of the person you're serving and the value of your own devotion, isn't it? And therefore you feel satisfied, and you feel that there's really nothing better than this. This is it. This is what I want. Yes? You feel that way? Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes? Even when it's difficult? Because you're feeling the love. That, like we say and we know that, and everybody knows that what we're all hankering for is love, but in the material world, it comes out backwards. And so we end up hankering for lust in the name of love. Just like when people get married, they're looking for love, but often they're looking more to be loved than give love. And to be loved is not what we're talking about. We're talking about giving it. The experience of giving it is great, is the greatest. And the experience of taking it, although materially may be satisfying, spiritually it isn't. And there's this, and Prabhupada talks about it, and Acharyas talk about this competition between Krishna and his devotees. Because the devotees, they don't like to take service from Krishna. But Krishna likes to give service to the devotees. And the devotees, they like to serve Krishna, but Krishna likes to give service more than he likes to take it. So there's that experience of giving love on the spiritual platform that just people don't have any experience of. Even many religious people, they have the experience of taking from God, but they don't have the experience of giving without anything in between, right? Any inebriety, any contamination, any impurity, any sense of selfish desire, independent desire. The whole idea of Krishna consciousness, the principle is that nothing we have, nothing we desire is independent of what we could give to Krishna, or what Krishna wants, right? And the whole idea of material life is it's independent of what Krishna wants. We think of it independently. What do you want? What do you like? What do you want to do? What makes you happy? And so in our attempt to be happy, we divorce ourselves from love, because love is not about what you want. It's about what you give to the person to satisfy them, right? So it's like the material world it's such a bad bargain, because it's designed in a way that you think something's going to make you happy, but it's actually taking you further away from what your heart wants, which is to love Krishna or to love God. So the thing that you think is going to make you happy, which will temporarily make you happy, relatively speaking, at least it will give you sensual stimulus or input, which you will then determine or evaluate or sense as happiness. But actually it's pulling you further away from happiness because it's pulling you away from love for Krishna. Right? Does that make sense? Yes or yes? True or true? Isn't that interesting? So, our attempts to be happy, they're so ironic because in our attempt to be happy, we are... I want to get those pictures. I want you to see the details. And I have to move on. In our attempts to be happy, it's not working. I have to go this way. In our attempts to be happy, then we're actually distancing ourselves from Krishna. And it's frustrating subconsciously for people. They don't know what's going on, but for devotees we know. So for us it's even more frustrating. But somehow or other Maya is so strong that we're thinking that I need certain things to make me happy. And many of those things that we need are just, they're those things that are getting in the way of relationship. They're the things that when Krishna says, what's getting in the way of relationship, those are the things you would say, well, I think it's this. I think I want to control and enjoy and be number one and have this and have that. Right? You understand? So it's a nice meditation. I've often talked about this principle in relation to getting a taste for Krishna, because taste, our conception of taste is something sensual. And ruchi is not sensual. And ruchi only comes as we become more selfless, that we can't taste until we become advanced and pure and selfless. We can't get to the stage of ruchi. So we're unable to taste the taste for which we really want because we think other things will make us happy, and we're trying to taste those. And when we taste those, we can't elevate ourselves to the stage of ruchi, where we actually begin to taste our relationship with Krishna to some degree, or at least taste the pleasure of that service to Krishna very intensely without the inebrities of material desire. So that's another paradox, right? That you have to give up taste, so-called taste, to get the real taste. Isn't it? You understand? Yes, no, maybe. My poor computer's fan. It's always blowing. And it didn't used to blow. Now it's blowing. It's got a hot head. It's being influenced by passion. So here we read something from a Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam says, unless one has love like that of Mother Yashoda, Krishna cannot be bound. He cannot be bound by those who have a bodily conception. Dehino. The mercy is very far away from them. Those who may be liberated, Jnanino, and those who may even be associates, but with Aishvarya Gyan, knowledge of Krishna's opulence, they also cannot be bound. They can also not bind Krishna. And even for those who have yoga siddhis, this mercy is inconceivable and inaccessible. This type of mercy was attained by Jasoda Maya, because Krishna can only be bound by prema, not by any other quality. And so often I've said that you can't satisfy Krishna with something material because he's not material. Isn't that an interesting concept? You're giving something material to someone, but they don't have a material body, so they don't enjoy materially. So you can't, like I could not love you, but I could satisfy you with something material, right? Just like Christina. If I sent you a diamond ring, you would be very happy, right? But it would, and you would think, I'm sending it to you because I love you. But maybe in a year, I'm going to ask you a big favor, and I'm going to ask you to give me more money than that diamond ring cost. So then you might start to realize, well, I'm not really satisfied with this diamond ring because it wasn't given purely. And if he would have just sent a rose out of love, I would have actually been happier than the diamond ring, which was just used as bait to get me to do something that he wants for himself, right? So that's kind of like trying to give something, to buy Krishna by giving him something material without having the proper mood. All right, I have a lot of money, so I'll give Krishna a lot of money and I'll buy him that way. It doesn't work that way. I mean, it's nice you give Krishna a lot of money, but don't do it in thinking that I can control him because I give a lot of money. You can't, because he's not after your money. He has all the money, so he doesn't need yours. I mean, it's good for you to give it, and we can use it in Krishna's service, certainly. But Krishna personally doesn't require it. And certainly, it won't make him happy unless that you're giving that money was done in the proper spirit. Right? Yes? So that's the essence of everything. And Eddie's saying she doesn't know when it starts because calendars are different for different parts of the world. So you have to get a calendar for your part of the world because it may start on the 16th in Vrindavan and the 17th in your country. Right? Or maybe the 15th in your country. You don't know. So you have to use a local calendar. Okay. Now, just as side information, in case you don't know, in the month of Damodar, when this pastime first happened, this is when Krishna started herding the cows. I mean, not the cows, the calves. So, as you may know, when Krishna was a young boy, he was part of a cowherd community, and so he was being trained. And first, he would take out the calves. So it was right after this pastime, apparently. Let's see. No, it may not have been this pastime, maybe he was too young, but it was in this month of Kartik that when he came of age, that he first started taking out the calves to graze. And the day he did this is called Gopastami. And that's a whole other topic, why he grazes cows. Now, this is how Sukadeva Goswami describes this pastime. This is from the Bhagavatam 10.21.1. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus the Vrindavan forest was filled with transcendental autumnal waters, that means waters in autumn, and cooled by breezes perfumed with the fragrance of lotus flowers growing in the clear lakes. The infallible Lord, accompanied by his cows and cowherd boyfriends, entered that Vrindavan forest. Achyuta Krishna, along with his friends, entered into the forest in the autumn season, Sharad. The first night of Kartik was Sharadhiya Purnima, the full moon night of the autumn season. Vrindavan is beautiful. All the lakes and rivers become muddy during the summer, but when the season ends and the Sharad season begins, fall begins, autumn begins, all the lakes like Manasi Ganga and Kusham Sarovara become clear and beautiful. Upon these lakes sit many blossoming lotus flowers that emit a beautiful fragrance, and the breeze carries that fragrance everywhere. In this beautiful atmosphere, Krishna, Achyuta, has gone out to graze cows. So, you want to join him? You want to go there? By hearing these descriptions, we develop the desire to become part of that Leela. And then we remember that we can only be part of that Leela by paying the price of love, because even some of the gopis who were not yet fully purified, they couldn't enter the Ras Leela until every ounce of contamination, and contamination means something in the way of that relationship. Every ounce of contamination was removed. Then they could enter the Leela. Krishna would not let them come. And it said in the Bhagavatam they gave up their bodies, but they didn't die. They gave up all the material contamination of the material body, and they were left with pure spiritual form. And then after that, they could enjoy with Krishna and Rasa Leela. So they still had some material attachment, connection, material thinking, and they weren't able to have that pure love. And that pure love was the price, the entrance price to Rasa Leela. So if you want to enter in Krishna Leela, then this is a very good pastime to meditate on. It's a good example that they couldn't pay the price. They couldn't get in the arena of the Leela because they had something, just some little something, a little connection with the body, with the mind. Of course, you're thinking, I have more than a little connection. Anyway, we're supposed to work on our connection, our yoga, our divine connection with Krishna. And this pastime, I think, is wonderful to inspire us that if you want to connect with Krishna, he only connects with people who love him. I mean, deeply connects. Right? I mean, that's what he wants. So on that higher stage of bhakti, you're only thinking about what Krishna wants. And so, as the story goes, Krishna played his flute, and this is how he calls the gopis. But some gopis couldn't make it, and it is said that their husbands had prevented them from going. But actually, even though it seems externally like their husbands prevented themselves from going, Krishna had arranged that their husbands would prevent them from going, because they weren't yet ready to go. And they wanted to go so much that they burnt up the last drops of the contamination, and therefore it said they gave up their bodies. They gave up the material contamination of the material body. And then they existed only in their spiritual form. And then, the next time Krishna called, they were able to go, and Krishna arranged, when they went, that they had a body that they left, so their husbands thought they were there, they had a body to take care of their husbands and kids, and then they went off. That Krishna made that arrangement. So, it's inspiring, isn't it, to meditate on these pastimes? And so maybe this month we can pray to get a glimpse of what love is. You know, love on the level of Jashoda, or love on the level of any of the Brajabasis, just to try to get a glimpse of understanding of what it is so important. Because our concept of love is very much tied into bodily consciousness, because who do we love the most? We love the people most connected with our body, isn't it? Our children, our mother, our father, our husbands, wives, brothers, sisters. You know, that's the most common place to repose the greatest affection. But this is much different. This is not connected with the body. And it's not connected with anything that you will gain from it materially. It's not connected with any personal desire. So, do you have any questions? We are at the almost 1 hour mark. And so, you have any other questions about the month of Damodar? What you should be doing? A lot of the we could, in subsequent class, we can go over the Damodar Astakam, discuss that. That would be useful. Hmm. Um, Nice also if you're not in Vrindavan, you can get pictures of Vrindavan and put them on your wall, or you can take darshan online of Krishna Balaram, kind of be virtually in Vrindavan. That's nice. Pick up the mood of Vrindavan. That's helpful. And try to make this month a month where you work on something in your life that needs improving. Perhaps getting the power of this month, which increases the power of your devotional practices, utilize that to make advancement. That would be nice, right? You agree? Yeah, think of, say, Krishna, I have this anartha or that anartha, and I want to love you, and I want to be like Yashoda and have the love that she has for you. So during this month, I want to work on this particular problem. And I know that during this month, the practices of devotional service are more powerful. So I want to engage in my sadhana and my service with the hopes of overcoming some of these anarthas. Is that good? Then with that attitude, certainly you'll make a lot of progress. That's a wonderful attitude to have, isn't it? Yes? Okay. Looks like you have no questions. Does that mean you're so ecstatic that you're stunned and you can't say anything? Or does it mean you went brain dead? Or does it mean you got so bored you have no questions? Or does it mean you know everything? Prabhupada once asked for questions and there weren't any. And he said, so? He said something like, so, you know everything? No questions? You know everything? It's kind of funny, huh? All right. We'll assume you all know everything, whatever you've heard. You have deeply imbibed in your heart. And we can go now, and I can go have lunch. Now, as far as tomorrow, I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to have to inform Gurnishta. I thought I could do it, but now they're telling me we might have to leave around 1:30. So, and that's what time we started this class. So what I'm going to do, I'm taking lunch at a devotee's home. Who knows when we're leaving tomorrow? And then there's possibility we can make the class earlier, like an hour earlier if I have to leave at 1:30. So now we know what happened. Ashini has told us she is stunned. She can't speak. She's speechless. She doesn't know what to say. Okay, well that's good to know. I guess it was effective then. Okay, so hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Well, we will see you tomorrow, whether this time or an hour earlier, or somehow or other, if you don't get a message, you can try to check an hour earlier, and if I'm not there, it means that I will be there at the regular time. But we'll find out and we'll send a message out, okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.